Welcome back to Straight Facts on a Tuesday. I'm joined by the brilliant Dan Potts and the wonderful LB. How are you, LB?
Tired, mate. I'm tired. I'm tired of my team. I'm tired of my team losing to dead teams. And yeah, man. You know what I mean? I thought at least I know we're bad, but at least we'll beat Man United. And you know, towards the end of the game, I thought, yes, we're gonna do it. It's not great, but we're gonna do it. And then Matthias Nunes decided to just sabotage the whole thing. So yeah, not great, mate. Not great.
Yeah.
Well, happy birthday to you, by the way.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Birthday,
thank you.
Terry.
I appreciate that. And a lot of people sending in messages. Thank you here to Georgie. He sent a super chat in. Saying happy birthday, Teza. Have a drink on me. I am out tonight. So, and yourself and the Luman, I will definitely be having a little bevy on you. I'm not too sure what I'm going to drink tonight. I had a bit of champers on Sunday after we beat the Blue Nose bastards from down the road. Well, not down the road from me quite, but if I lived in Manchester, they would be. But tonight, I don't know what. I might have a few beers. Going to my favourite little. I'm going to my favourite little kids restaurant because my kids chose where I'm going for my birthday. So going to a Smith & Weston, which is like a cowboy restaurant, which I'm kind of looking forward to. Put you in the mood to watch Yellowstone, which is a great TV show. You should watch it. But yes, thank you for all the birthday messages today, people. I really do.
I was say, Terry, you've got one from Lawless on the group chat as well, which says, "Send me your address and I'll send you a birthday hot chip."
Yeah, I lost the challenge this week, so I've got to eat the hot chip, which I have no idea what it's going to do to my ulcer. But you got to do what you got to do. Mate, it's going to be my last birthday come Friday, so we will see. Loads to delve into today. Obviously, we're going to be touching on Mykhailo Mudryk and the failed drugs test and the ban that he has currently got and may face if the sample B comes back. And some of the explanations seem a bit mad. We're going to go into that in more detail. We're obviously going to touch on Arsenal, Potsy's team. Big quarterfinal for them this week after a disappointing weekend of Premier League football. But we're going to start with the Manchester derby because I know it's been a couple of days, but it's the only time of the week I see LB and get to actually chat to him about it. We knew it wasn't going to be a classic game from the perspective of quality for 90 minutes. In fact, in the end, though, it's probably come an all-time classic Premier League game with the way it was won. From a City perspective, I know you guys have not been in a good place, but were you expecting much more than that on Sunday? More fight, more dynamism, more chances?
More chances, no. More dynamism, no. What were the other two?
I don't remember.
More fight.
More fight.
More fight, yeah. I expected more fight. Yeah, I know that we're not very good at the moment. You know, I've been saying this for a long time, and people keep on, you know, I've been telling people, you guys need to stop thinking that Manchester City are the Manchester City of last year or the year before. Yeah, we're not. And I know it's really difficult for people to get that because they go, but what about this? What about this player? What about this player? A lot of the players that we have now at the football club are just not good enough. Yeah, they're not good enough. And when you realize that, and you realize it by just watching them without emotion, watching these players play football without thinking about what they've done in the past, realizing, yeah, that a minor 1% drop in their ability via the fact that they're old is just blown up when you're playing elite level sport. So you've got a player like Kyle Walker, who's now nearly 35 years old, and he's lost that bit of pace that he had, right? You've got Gundo, who's lost that little bit of energy he had in midfield. You've got De Bruyne, who's getting on for 34, who's had his hamstring operated on not a year ago. Yeah? And then you've got other players that are not performing to the level that they should be. Foden, Haaland. Yeah? Is Doku good enough for this team? Starting week in, week out. Is Bernardo Silva at that level? When you actually deep it, yeah, we've got a situation where a lot of the players that we had in the treble year, we've let go of some of them elite level players and we've not replaced them to the quality that we should have done. I'm talking players like, I don't know, Mahrez, yeah? We've not replaced him, right? We had a player, great player, his name was Cole Palmer. And then my club decided to sell him for 40 million, despite the fact I sat there on a stream and said, this is a mistake, yeah? We've bought players like Nunes, who's not good enough. Phillips, who's not good enough. And then you look at the players that we had in the treble year that we still have, but are no longer as good. Edison, he don't want to be here. He wants to be in Saudi. He wants to run the bag. His head's not in it. Walker, It's declined since the treble year, right? You've got Gundo has declined since the treble year. De Bruyne has declined since the treble year. Foden's declined since last year. So when you actually realise all that, you realise that we're not actually in a very good position right now. We're not a good football team. We concede far too many goals. We have to score 3 goals a game to win football matches. Our players are making mistakes every single game, which costs us goals. We don't create chances. We don't score enough. Now, and that's facts. That's not me overdoing it. That's why we've won 1 game in 11 or 12 or whatever it is. I'm losing count now because it's that bad. And the only way to get yourself out of this mess is to buy new players and move on players that are too old and are not good enough. And unfortunately, half the team falls into that second bracket. So, yeah, we're struggling, man. About the game itself, listen, I didn't expect a mad game. I thought it was a terrible football match. But my team was winning with 5 minutes to go. And I don't know if you guys saw Thierry Henry last night, but I thought he was spot on Monday Night Football. He said this team had the ball in the corner flag, or just next to the penalty area. Jack Grealish had it in the 88th minute. He could have gone to the corner flag. There's no shame in doing that. You've won 1 game in 10, 1 game in 11 against your local rivals. You're at home winning 1-0. He could have gone to the corner flag and held it there. He could have took his player on. But what did he do? He passed it back. And then what did Gundo do? Or whoever it was. They passed it back. And then we passed it back to 2 players, Walker and Nunes, who are the 2 worst players in our whole team when you press them. And that's why Nunes received the ball and he was looking at Ederson. As soon as Grealish passed that ball back, we was only ever going to go back to Ederson. And then Nunes, it's unforgivable what he did. And then he's at fault for the second goal as well, which I didn't even realise until I watched it back. If you watch it back, I think it might be Bruno Fernandes. Someone's got the ball for United. And Diallo comes off the right-hand side. That's Nunes' man. And Nunes doesn't track Diallo. Diallo goes through, yes, Ederson, blah, 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 yes, Gvardiol, blah, blah, blah. But it's Nunes' man. He doesn't track him. So listen, the whole thing was just a complete and utter disaster. The players didn't fight hard enough for me. I need to see more from Haaland. I need to see more from Foden. I need to see more from a lot of these players. But the crux of the matter is the squad is not good enough. It's nowhere near. Yeah. Nowhere near. When you realise it, and it took me a while, it took me a couple of months to realise it. I actually realised it a little bit when we were winning football matches. Because when I was watching us beat Fulham, should have got beat. Brentford, should have got beat. Wolves, should have drawn. Arsenal, should have probably have lost that game. And we're winning these games or nicking late points. That's when I realised that, we're winning. We've not got the squad, man. So, yeah, listen, we're in a top 4 race, top 5 race. We need to spend money in January. We need to get at least 3 players in January. And in the summer, we need another 4 or 5. And we need to be ruthless. We need to drop the sentiment. Some of these players have been great for us, legends, but we need to move them on.
Look, I almost felt a bit sorry for LB there. Manchester City are in the mud. It's great to see. It's been a long time coming, and it's just a shame that my team are almost in the mud with them. But it doesn't stop me laughing at Manchester City's downfall. Look, a lot of what I say is tongue-in-cheek with LB. He's one that has been calling it out for a few weeks, to be fair, that they haven't been good enough and that you need 3 goals to score. Remember you saying we need 3 goals to win a game. He's right. They're conceding way too many goals. Defensively, I think they are one of the worst in the league. On the ball at the moment, they're not creating anything. So when you've got that combination of not scoring and conceding goals, you're in trouble. And this is what I was meaning about Pep Guardiola, because as much as I don't look at just him, I look at there being a lot more problems than just Pep Guardiola. Look, it's hard to say, isn't it, when you have a problem with Pep Guardiola? He's been unbelievable for the last few, right? But when you look at what I said a couple of weeks ago, and LB wasn't happy with it, what I was meaning by that was, where is Pep going to go now that his tools are blunt? Where is he going to go? Is he going to try and change things up? Is he going to bring a few of the academy players in? Or is he going to stick with this? The answer is he's going to stick with it and beg for more money in January. And that was why I was using that comparison with Sir Alex Ferguson, because he had to get the best out of his tools that were blunt. And we're not seeing that at the moment with Pep Guardiola. So if the answer is they're just not good enough and nobody can coach them, then you see what you do in January. I think it is a massive, massive risk, and it's backfired now to rely on Rodri, because a lot of people are calling him Rodri FC. I personally actually think now, even if you put Rodri in this side, I still think there'll be individuals that aren't performing. I still think there'll be some problems. Yes, they wouldn't be in an absolute downfall because we've seen what they're like with Rodri in the team. It's like having 2 or 3 players. He's that good, right? But I look at some of the individuals at the moment that just need to be looking at themselves. And it ain't just Haaland and Foden. You've got to look at Grealish. You've got to look at Doku. You've got to look at Savio. You've got to look at Nunez. You've got to look at all these guys that are coming in. Bernardo Silva. I mean,
these players are not good enough, though. This is the thing, though, Potsy. Like, yes, you're right. But they're not good enough to be starting week in, week out for Manchester City, these players. Doku is not good enough to be starting for Manchester City week in, week out. For me, he's a rotational player. I don't mind him as a rotational player off the bench. You remember the FA Cup final, which we lost last year? He come off the bench and was almost saved it for us. Yeah, he absolutely cooked United when he come off. He just come on too late. But Grealish isn't doing enough, man. He needs to go at the end of the season. Savio's his first season. So I'm gonna be a bit more chill with Savio and be like, yo, it's only 20. Yeah. He's getting into it. Give him another year. But Bernardo, he's just we've ran him into the ground, man. He's 30 years old, bro, but he's been playing 60 matches for City the last 5 or 6 years. So he's another one that probably needs to be moved on. He's not even wanted to be here. He wanted to leave 3 years ago. So these players here that people are talking about, they're just not good enough anymore, man. And we just need to move them on and get some new ones in.
Yeah, you mentioned Jack Grealish there. I was looking for the data, the actual data on it to talk about it in a bit more detail. But yeah, here it is. Here, I'll put it up on the screen in a second. But it's my birthday is the anniversary. But it's been exactly 12 months since he scored a goal. And the one thing I've said during this whole bad run of yours, and I always give you credit for this, LB, because you're one of the very few City fans who actually calls out the problems. It's gone beyond the Rodri conversation. This isn't just about Rodri. There is. I think there are players that are bloated, too full on success. I think there are some that his legs have gone, like you've mentioned, and there's also been a lot of bad buys or players that have regressed in other ways. Because Jack Grealish's legs haven't gone, but one goal from him, no goals now, sorry, in 365 days. You can actually see that. I mean, it isn't even crazy. I mean, he's only created from, like, had 2.1 XG in that time. He's only had 34 shots in a year. For me, that's ridiculous. Just 34 shots. You would almost expect a player who's a forward for Man City to be having, what, 3 or 4 shots a game, maybe? To only have 34 shots in the space of 12 months is astronomically poor. And I know that a lot of City fans for years defended him and said, oh, Pep liked him to make space for others and do. But he doesn't ask Savio and Doku to do that. It's bullshit, in my opinion. But on top of that, as you say, Doku, there isn't enough end product. Savio's in his first season, not enough end product. Phil Foden's having an off year. There's so many little things wrong. It's crazy. And listen, I fancied us to beat you at the weekend. I predicted a 2-1 win. I didn't predict it to go the way around. I thought we'd score first, and I thought we'd go 2-0 up, and then maybe you'd nick one late on, like the FA Cup. But you were there from the taking from the opening minute. And Gary Neville was calling it out on commentary, and we were switching the ball to the wings. We had so much space to run into. The problem we had, barring Ahmad, our team didn't have the confidence to try and capitalize. But the longer that game went on, I did feel the better Man United became, the more confidence we have. I don't remember the last time we went away to your ground and had the same amount of possession as you. And some will say City gave us the possession. There's an element of truth in periods of the game, but I've never seen your press so poor. When we actually had the confidence to put 2 or 3 passes together near the edge of your box, we were able to work the ball into the box. I think it's the first time City at home in over 2 years had less touches in an opponent's box than their opponent. And listen, I'm not sitting here and trying to say Man United were amazing in every facet of the game. I wouldn't lie in that regard. But I think what it does show is some real deep-rooted problems at Manchester City, which I understand. I think new signings are absolutely key as an example. But Pep has got to find a way of re-injecting some confidence into these players, because I was looking at, you play Aston Villa away from home this week, and Villa are on patchy form themselves, but this could legitimately go to 9 defeats in 12 games.
That's how it goes. I've already accepted that we're getting beat off of Villa, to be honest with you. Listen, we just got to be honest with ourselves. That's where we're at. I don't see us beating Everton either. I think we'll beat Leicester. I think we'll beat Salford. And I think we'll beat West Ham. So I do think, actually, after these next 2 games, we'll win 3 games on the bounce. And then the January transfer window opens as well. Yeah, so hopefully we can beat Leicester, beat Salford, and then hopefully beat West Ham as well. That's 3 games on the bounce. And we can maybe then, we'll buy a new player early in the transfer window, get a little bit of fresh life in there. But I have no confidence in the game against Aston Villa. I mean, they have Morgan Rodgers, they have quick players. That's our kryptonite. I think Everton, will be a low-scoring draw or a 0-0. I think they'll just come and park the bus and they'll do what they did to, they've got all the confidence in the world to do what they did at Emirates now because they got a result out of it. They'll come to City and do that. I think that'll be a 0-0 or 1-1. That'll be 2 more games that wins. But then I actually do see some light at the end of the tunnel. I think we'll beat Leicester and then win our next 2 games. And we need to buy some players. I'd love Bruno from Newcastle. I think it's exactly what we need. A bit of energy, a bit of someone who can win tackles, decent on the ball. Yeah, can play through balls. I was checking the Premier League website this morning. He's 5th, I think, this season. Most through balls in the Premier League this year. He wins duels. He has some physicality in there. And that's what we should have done in the first place. So what we did is we went and bought the cheap options. Cheap options, no good, mate. Yeah, I'd say cheap. They weren't even that cheap. We bought Phillips for 40 million.
You bought Paulie.
Yeah. We bought Paulie. We bought Phillips at 40 million. Never good enough. I said this at the time. Never good. We bought Nunes.
Yeah, man.
Nunes.
That's a lot. That was a
Not
lot.
Good enough. That's 90 million quid. We should have just spent 100 million and got the right player. This is why I don't mind when, when people talk about money. I don't get why people speak about money all the time because it's not your money. It's not coming out of your pocket, yeah. Go out the club's pocket, right? And now some people say, well, we pay the season ticket, right? Whatever, right? You paid £1, £1.50 for a season ticket. We're talking 100 million quid here, yeah. This is why Arsenal last year were absolutely correct to buy Declan Rice. This is why Chelsea were absolutely correct to buy Caicedo. Why? Because they're the 2 of the best players in that position. Why? Because they cost that much money. That's why they cost the money. What did we went for the cheaper option because we tried to be smart. Oh, we'll go for Nunes at 40, 50 mil. We'll go for Phillips at 40 mil. There's a reason they're 40 mil. Because they're just not that good.
How many teams are real quick
it's not rocket science how this game works. You buy the best players, you win stuff. Oh, Chelsea spent 1.5 billion and now they're in a title race. Shock horror.
How many teams have gone on this run though? Like how many of the top 5 teams, let's say, have ever done this run? This is like a madness. I've never seen it must have happened, but I've never seen a top team go like 12 games, whatever it is.
I've been looking into it, right? So Man United only won 2 of 10 in the 01-02 season, but we won 2 of them. I think we drew 5 or 6. So there was very few defeats in it, but there was an underlying factor in that Fergie had announced his retirement. So if Pep 2 months ago said I was retiring and this happened, I think City fans would be annoyed, but you'd all know what the underlying issue was. Fergie then, towards the end of that run of bad games, reversed his decision. I think we went on to win 6, 7, 8, 9 on the bounce. We still finished 3rd that season. And again, we went back to being competitive. It's harder to go back post-Premier League because there isn't the websites, there isn't the data out there. But I've never seen a defending I don't know if I've ever seen a defending champion this poor. You've got Chelsea when Jose got sacked the year after winning the league. As an example, that I don't know if they've had a run that was this bad. They were very, very poor though, as an example. But it's been very few and far between that we've ever seen a kind of run as bad as this. And I think I've defended Pep in the sense of anyone trying to undo Pep's legacy. Ridiculous. You're going to lose a debate because you're going too far. But the one thing I don't agree with the likes of Gary Neville is that no criticism should go towards Pep, because I still think example will be Kyle Walker. As a standout. Most City fans I listen to, LB's one of them, he's done, finished, don't play him. Put an academy player in that position. You're either going to be as bad or better, but at least you're trying something different. And I do look at Pep and I think the thing that's been leveled against Pep for many years is, can he do it? Can his system work? Can he be successful or even competitive when he's missing 2 or 3 key players or a few people are slightly over the hill? And the reason I say that is when you look at Sir Alex, who he's compared against in his final season, the 2013 winners, we had the likes of Giggs and Scholes, and we had the likes of Rio and Vidic, who were on their last legs. And yes, we weren't up against a team as good as what this peak City team has been, but we still got about 85 points in the league. You've still got to beat what's around you. So that's why I look at it and go, there are definite reasons to look at why the squad isn't performing, bloatedness, etc. But I don't think these things should just be outright excuses. Our Pep doesn't need to be criticised whatsoever because he's been so successful. And the reason I say that is I remember other great managers in poor seasons being criticised and their CV not being an excuse for them. But at the same time, I'm balanced with it. I don't believe in people that are trying to undo Pep's qualities and act like this doesn't mean he hasn't been a great manager. I think those conversations do need balance, personally.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you got to remember as well, we won the league with no striker. We won the league with a 33, 34-year-old Fernandinho at the back. You know, he has adapted and he's rebuilt this squad from the first. If you look at the first title win, how many players from that first title win are in this team now? Not a lot. So we have definitely rebuilt. But listen, I think there's room for criticism for everyone. There's room for criticism on Pep. Of course, I think he's made mistakes during this run, but I don't think that's the main issue. His main issue, Pep, is in the summer when he said he didn't want any more players. So he's to blame there. I think the players are to blame because they're not performing to the level that we know they can do. Tiki, the sporting director, what are you doing? You've had 2 horrific transfer windows. He's at fault. I think Khaldoon, as the chairman, who oversees the club, who oversees what's going on, why is he not asking questions? You know what I mean? Why is he looking at the Tiki and saying, why are we not improving this squad since the treble year? We're only going to go downhill. Why have you got half the squad over the age of 30? Do you know what I mean? What is going on? So I think this criticism needs to be spread around. It's very rare that one person is at fault for everything that's gone on.
No, I agree. You guys have been a fantastically run club for the better part of a decade. Sometimes you don't know when mistakes are being made until the end result, though, right? You know, it's like cooking dinner sometimes. Sometimes food can look nice, you taste it and you go, Jesus Christ, what's going on, right? And you go back to, say, the summer of 2001. This is euros from transfer mark, but 117 million euros on Grealish. Not good enough as an example. You bought Julian Alvarez for 21 million that January that season, but he's already gone. Shouldn't have probably let him go that replacement. See, Haaland, brilliant buy, 60 million euros. But then Calvin Phillips, 49 million. Nowhere near the standard as an example. The following year, Guardiola, look, he's been very good for you. He's still very young.
He's a good signing. I
would say he's a good signing too. But then 62 million on Nunes, nowhere near good enough. 60 million on Doku. I don't think so far the output has been good enough. And then he spent 29 million on Kovacic. Good squad player. I think in the modern day era, good squad player, 21 million pounds, pretty decent. And then this summer, of course, you barely spent any money. Savio has nowhere near replicated what he was doing at Girona. In fact, Girona haven't replicated what Girona were doing last year. I know they lost a few players. And sometimes you can get caught out by that. Do you remember when that Monaco team were brilliant? And of course, you had Mbappe that came out of it, but you also had the Bakayokos of this world. There's sometimes some bad players in those really good teams that kind of shoot up out of nowhere. You just look at the recruitment now. When you work backwards with hindsight, you realize that hundreds of millions of pounds have been wasted. You've actually had summers that are more akin to Man United in the last decade as opposed to Manchester City. And the one thing I would say is your owner, heads, I mean, Tiki's already going, but heads are going to roll. There's no way behind the scenes everyone's just, it's okay, we won 4 on the bounce, this is acceptable. The standards are too high at Manchester City to just do that. So yeah, I expect a massive January and a massive summer. And obviously you've got new blood in now, looking at talent and everything else. I expect to see your squad improve dramatically, but also very quickly as well.
And we need to be buying quality. We can't be buying squad rotational players. Yeah,
agree.
We need to be buying quality. So if you look at the treble season, right? When I talk about serious ballers, yeah, I'm looking at Edison, Walker, Diaz, Ake, Stones, Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, Haaland, yeah, as serious ballers in the treble year. Now I'm looking at serious ballers as Diaz, Gvardiol, Rodri, Foden, and Haaland. 5. Because De Bruyne's going and he's old. Who else is there? So we've gone from what, 11 ballers to 5.
But this is where, when it comes to the rebuild conversation, now I'm not trying to catch City fans out or try and throw a snide dig at Pep. I've always felt that there's a fundamental difference between having a very good squad, and he did inherit a good squad, very good squad. It won the league a year before I think he arrived, and adding to that and making it better and better and better. But when the star players you've added are young, and that star group almost remains your core throughout a 5, 6, 7, 8 year period, which it did. For instance, being like, if you look at Sir Alex's first team that won everything, there was a older core to it that had like the Andy Coles of this world as an example, and the Jaap Stams and everything else. And then it's in the second half of his time at the club, the Giggses and the Scholeses and the Nevilles that were the youngsters to begin with, they then became the core group. This is the first time at City that Pep's elder statesman, his core, his world-class talent that you typically, it's hard to replace. That squad players can get to 28 and you go, do you know what? There's a 21-year-old over there I think we can bring in now. When you're as good as KDB at 28, it's almost, do we start phasing him out now for this 21-year-old that might be better in 3 years? Or do we stick with KDB? So everyone has a different view on what a rebuild is. And it's a bit like the world-class conversation. This is City you've never been through this as a club before, but it's happened to loads of, and this is what, again, I see this as a compliment. You're one of a very small group of great English sides. Liverpool have had a couple, Man United have had 2 or 3. You could probably put Nottingham Forest back-to-back Champions League winning team into that. Maybe Chelsea have had a great side, the Jose one, but maybe not. They didn't win a European Cup. It's a finite commodity to be one of the greatest English teams of all time. But they've all gone through the same pain when that core group of players has aged out. Every single one of them has then hit problematic times. And what you don't want to do is what, United did in the 70s and Liverpool did in the 90s. You need to go out and get that quality now, strike quality, because 1 year can become 2, 3, 4, 5 at the same time. So yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to watch what City do now. And of course, as a rival, I'm hoping for your downfall and you get it wrong again and again. But it's going to be intriguing to see how quickly this team can be rebuilt. Some great teams are, some are not, and it's going to be intriguing to see the way it goes. To be fair, on Man United, Potsy, what did you make of their performance, Ahmad, and what this means going forward for them?
I was actually, I was actually
neutral. Can't.
Yeah, I was one who said I thought you deserved the win, if I'm honest. I thought it was a stinky game of football. I've got to say. I thought it was awful. Bruno should have scored. He's obviously chipped that, put it wide. I couldn't quite believe he'd missed, to be fair. But this Amad Diallo kid looks really good, man. And like I was saying to Well-Be and the boys, I honestly believe that is a fantastic bit of individual skill for that goal. That was a phenomenal piece of football. And I know that the defending was questionable, and you can always question mark that, right? But that ball from Martinez, that first touch, the confidence, the absolute set of nuts he had on him to try and put it in that way was superb. And do you know what, Till? He deserved that, because I thought he was your best player. And he was the one that actually was a shining light to what's been quite poor at Manchester United for the last few years. And I think you've been one that's been quite honest about that. And I think what made it even more special, if I'm a Manchester United fan, was that weekend I would have learned quite a lot. I would have been really happy and that you take the 3 points off your rivals. If I'm honest with you, I don't think it's an impossible victory, because the way Manchester City are playing at the moment, I think you would have been disappointed to have lost to the way they play, because I thought they were dire, if I'm honest with you. Then when I look at it, I think the decision to leave Rashford and Garnacho out is a really good one from Amorim. I think that is an excellent, excellent move. And I think that we've spoken before about some of the nuts on some of these managers. And you talk about Arteta has done it before, and Pep's done it before. And some of the great managers years ago have done it before as well. You look at what Amorim's done to walk in and just sift through. And he's looked at Rashford, who I've told you I think is a problem for a while. Unfortunately, we're linked with him now. And Garnacho as well, who I think both of them, let's just be real, they're sulking. Right, they're throwing their rattle in the corner. They're throwing Teddy out of the pram. They're getting really annoyed with themselves and the club. So they've been dropped and they've been bombed out. And then Amad Diallo walks in and makes it very, very uncomfortable for the pair of them now. Because why can that not been them? Because their attitude ain't right. This Amad Diallo's come in, and to be fair, I think he's looked one of your better players and bright lights the whole of this season, if I'm honest with you. But to go and do that in a derby, a young kid, I don't know how old this kid is. I think he was really, really exciting. And it's one player that I would look at as a Manchester United fan, if I was one, looking at him going, right, we need to try and make him as best that we can do. Because how many players have come through like this at Manchester United and have just disappeared or been like a graveyard, I think Gary Neville calls it. Rashford is one of them, let's be real, but he's not the only one. There's been many that have come through. And I think with Kobe Mainu and with him now, Diallo, you have to not make that the case with those two. Because I think they've got a little bit of everything in their game for their position. And I was quite impressed from what I saw with some of the attitude of Manchester United, and certainly from Amorim. And I said to you, as soon as we played you, the way you set up, you made it hard for us straight away. I'm like, yeah, he's not Ten Hag, is he? And I knew he wasn't going to be. Comparing Ten Hag and what Amorim did was a silly thing to do, in my opinion. And I think you should be very, very happy with the win. And Amad Diallo, yeah, fair play to him, man. Fair play.
Yeah, I'm happy with the win, because I always want to win games. Most of the time, there's been occasions where I think I just want this manager gone now. So just please lose today so we can cut an end off. But generally, you know, 99 times 99.99 times out of 100, you always want to win football matches. And I'm really happy we did it. Loads of improvement still needed, and my feet are so firmly planted on the floor still, it's unbelievable. On Ahmad, I love what Amarim said. Great, he was brilliant, but we need to keep his feet on the floor. He basically said this club has got a habit of a young player having a great moment or a great period, and they get thrown into stardom, and then it's hard to keep their feet on the ground and we lose them. And we've seen that multiple times in the last 11 years, and it's why I'm not particularly angry personally with Rashford. It's why I'm not angry personally with Garnacho, the same as I wasn't with Paul Pogba as an example. I think that when you have a bad culture, when you don't set the right standards, I believe that, and there's a thing that you said about speaking about, I watch what players are eating before games, I watch what players are wearing. And I take that on, but I think there is a seriousness to that. I don't mean it in terms of if you wear a piece of clothing that's quite trendy, but there's a time and a place for everything. I feel you've all done it. I used to do it with Team GB. If we turned up to a big occasion for Team GB and your shirt wasn't ironed properly or your trousers were creased, you got disciplined for it. So I don't personally view that as strange. What they eat is really key. If it turns out, there's been a photo sent to us from a journalist of a player stuffing a kebab at 1 o'clock in the morning 2 days before a game, I expect my manager that is not what you want your players eating and doing. You want them being as professional as possible. I love what he's done. Mainu has been taken really out of the firing line. He's barely started a game under him. Few United fans are getting concerned. I'm not. The same reason in the first few matches I was concerned for Ahmad, because a few people said, who do you think is going to survive Amarim? I said, well, initially I thought, Ahmad's going to kill it. But he was being played out of his position every time, and it was Garnacho and it was Rashford that were getting the starts in those forward positions. Now you realize why. He was essentially giving those players enough rope to succeed or hang themselves, and in the short term that appears that is what they've done. Performance haven't been good enough. Application and behavior off the pitch, professionally they're talking here, hasn't been good enough. He has stated that there isn't a discipline problem with Eva, so it isn't behavior, lateness, drinking, leaks. He's been very, very clear in 3 different interviews now about that it's about their professional application. So I love all of that stuff, but even more something that's important than Amarim is this is the first time I've seen a Man United manager backed in the last 11 years. Yes, we've spent money, but that scratches the surface of what backing a manager looks like. He's being backed in the sense of, I don't think the Glazer-led board would have allowed Ten Hag, would have allowed Ollie, we know they wouldn't let Jose do it. Jose wanted Martial and Pogba gone. And the board said, no, they're too important to us. I want them out of the team. Those things have to be allowed. The head coach, the manager, whatever role they've got, has to be allowed to say this person isn't abiding with the culture that we're trying to set as a football club. And they have to be listened to and given autonomy in that role. As soon as you take that autonomy away, player power exists and people will take the piss with it. So it's really great to see that happening at the same time for me. And altogether, a very good win. It's interesting, what a difference a week makes. This time last week, Ashworth had gone. The rebuild was a shambles. People wanted Ineos thrown out. I haven't seen very many people today tweet, barring Rashford fanboys. That's what's ironic now. Rashford fanboys are now doing what a different group of Man United fans are doing last week when Ashworth was sacked, saying we've got to get rid of Ineos. They have no idea what we're doing. We're going to get beat in Europe this week. We're going to get smashed by City. You fast forward 7 days, we win those 2 games, and it flip reverses. And we're going to go through a lot of this because there's different groups of people that are going to be offended or upset by their favourite player or a target.
What did you make of the Michael Richards and Neville thing, Tel? What did you make of that? Did you see that after the game?
What did they say?
Richards and Neville were having this argument about how Rashford's not, like, it's always Rashford who's a scapegoat. And as soon as Man United win, it's like, oh, Rashford this, Rashford that. Gary Neville was like, look, man, this guy's on 375 grand a week and he's sulking. Like, it's the right thing to do. In my opinion, I agreed with Neville. But Richards was like, it's a bit harsh. This guy can do it. Do you know what I mean? It was like,
mate, get him out, man. This guy Rashford, how many chances is he going to have?
I agree.
He's on big cash. He's meant to be the poster boy of Manchester United. He's a local lad. And all I ever hear is excuses, moaning, sulking. How about, you get on the football pitch when you get a chance and actually perform? 375 grand a week. I'm not even a United fan, and I get annoyed hearing it. It's all I ever hear, but Rashford. It's like, bro, this guy's living off a career of like, what, two good seasons, 3 good seasons, max. Isn't he like 26, 27 now? This guy should be prime. He should be ready. He should be fighting. And all ever is moaning. I'm not even a United fan, mate. Winds me up how many people. I think he's a poor footballer anyway, man. I don't think he's good enough for United. Yeah, I don't think he's good enough for United. And I think it's right that he's dropped. And if I was United, I'd try and get rid of him because he's not the long-term future of Man United. And you can't have him at the football club if he's not long-term future when he's on 375k. Now, whether they can get rid of him because he's on so much money is another question. But that's their own fault for giving the contract in the first place, man.
And that's why the rebuild under Ineos is going to take time. And this is why cutbacks are being made. And I'm not a fan of all the cutbacks, but this is why these things are happening, because there are certain players that we might not be able to get rid of for another year or so, but we have to bring in replacements for them in that time. So you might have double bubble. And you've got to try and save money while we're doing this because of the previous 11 years of overspending. We're in a hole. This is an interesting comment from Jafar, who says they blamed Sancho the same way and said before Sancho, the problem then was Greenwood, then it was Ronaldo. But this is the thing, Jafar, and I don't care which online United fans I upset when I say this. That's because every single one of those plonkers has been wrong. The same as everybody that's ever just said the manager is the problem. And we can go back further with these players. There was a time where Fellaini was the problem. And then an aged out Rooney was the problem. Schweinsteiger's legs have gone. He's the problem. Pogba's a virus. He's a problem. Greenwood, problem. Now we know he's a bad guy. He was the problem. Sancho, problem. Now look, there was criticisms for all those players that were right. They were never the problem. None of them, ever. The problem that you had at Man United, and none of these groups wanted to listen to people. I don't care how arrogant this sounds. It's my birthday. I'm allowed to be. Didn't listen to people like me who have been screaming from the rafters for 11 years. It isn't any singular player or singular manager's fault that we are in this problem. Yes, criticize player A for doing X wrong, but don't believe that that particular action is the reason we are where we are. Marcus Rashford isn't being scapegoated. If you boil everything down to this particular moment, you could frame it that way. But Man United have had multiple prior problems over 11 years. He is just part of that because the toxicity and bad direction of the club infected loads of different players and people. I don't blame Rashford for where he's ended up. The same as I didn't. In the moment when you're angry and you're frustrated after a match, you say things. Fucking this guy, get him out of the club. I don't like him. I saw you the other day, LB. Sell them all. You don't really mean that, right? It's an instant reaction to something. But in the reality, the only reason is because of lame brains and idiots who genuinely have been pushing a notion for 11 years that singular people are the reason that Man United are where they are. I'd sit there in spaces. I'd sit there on streams. It's predominantly Twitter people, by the way, and then the media picks up and jumps on it. I've sat in spaces listening sometimes interacting where they go, if we get rid of Pogba, what just fly? Get rid of Bruno, we're winning the league. Sack Ollie, this squad, one of the best in the leagues. All these people, they get so much attention, they get so much traction, they always have a massive following that always say, yeah, you're right. They've been wrong every fucking time. The only thing that we've never tried to do at this football club properly is strip it all out, do an actual club rebuild from inside out, culture, stadium, training ground, good people, bad people, move the whole fucking lot on and start again from scratch. And do you know what's funny? All those same people that have been wrong are the same fucking voices that are going, this is ridiculous. I saw one guy already turning on the manager last week, and I don't think he's the guy. He should abandon his principles. He got cooked. People bring up so many tweets from the past when we should have a principle. We shouldn't abandon them. These guys will flip-flop every 5 minutes. They just want to live in this shitty little negative world rather than just go, do you know what? I've just been wrong for 11 years. And so, look, Rashford's got to go, in my opinion. I think the writing's on the wall. If he turns it round, fucking great. I'd love to be wrong about it. I'd love to be wrong. Save us loads of fucking money. I'm telling you that. But he isn't being scapegoated only by ignoramuses, only by fools, only by clowns who are saying we're bad because of Rashford. But why would you take the opinions of a fucking fool seriously? No real Man United fan, no real journalist, no real ex-Man United player, no one at the club thinks Rashford is the reason we are bad. But what can happen? Okay, correlation and causation are not always the same thing. You may discipline a Rashford and a Garnacho at the same time. I think it might be clever what the manager's done because he hasn't singled out one person. And that can send a message across the rest of the dressing room where everyone goes, fucking hell. How many times have you been at work, boys, and someone gets reprimanded for doing something wrong and you're like, I've fucking done that before. It ain't caught me. You buck your ideas up because you're like, well, I'm going to make sure I don't get caught doing that. So that isn't scapegoating somebody, but that's just life. And sometimes in life, you get caught doing something and you're taking medicine. So for me, Rashford isn't an individual scapegoat, only if you're listening to, sitting on Twitter with, or following the TikToks of fucking morons. So stop following fucking idiots and you won't ever have those kind of conversations.
The thing is as
Sorry
well,
to be rude, but it just annoys me. It's
the
11 years, boys. 11 fucking years of hearing that shit.
I know, but one of the reasons why he gets so much stick and why people might see him as a scapegoat is because he's on 375 grand a week. It's the same thing that happens at my football club with Grealish, who's on 300 grand a week. Grealish, he gets crap every single week off some of our fan base. Why? He's on 300k a week. Havertz, he's on like 275 at Arsenal. He'll get crap off Arsenal fans every single week because he's on big money. That's always been the thing. Like, at the end of the day, if you accept the big cash, you got to accept the big criticism. And the fact is, Amad Diallo is 10 times the player that Rashford is, and he's 10 times the player that Garnacho is. So you got to put your faith in him as the future. He is a proper football player, But
then
see,
what
like
Garnacho
is a bit of a hybrid, but it's sort of that in between. Rashford. I think Garnacho and Rashford, neither of them are that great, but I think Garnacho's a better player than Rashford. I think Rashford's a terrible footballer. I think the reason why he had his best season under Ollie, one of his best seasons under Ollie, is because Ollie played counter-attacking football. And it allowed him to use that pace, utilize that pace, and the guy cooked. As soon as anyone wants him to actually like get on the edge of the box and take a player on, or like be a bit more technical, he's not good enough, man. So get rid of him.
I said this to you, Tel, a few years ago, and everyone laughed when I said it. I said it was Danny Welbeck who feeds kids, and I honestly believe that. I stand by that. I don't see any difference between those players. I actually think Danny Welbeck's had a much better career than Marcus Rashford and will have. I think Marcus Rashford has been one of the most overrated. I always thought he was a good player, but I think Man United fans were overhyping this kid as a youngster. I understand he burst on the scene and was phenomenal in the first couple of seasons. You thought, wow, this guy's going to really blossom, but something wrong up there, man. Mentality, something wrong up there with him.
Yeah, I hear where you're coming from. I always like.
By the way, just quickly, I don't want him either. If people are asking chat about Arsenal, no, I do not want Rashford at Arsenal. I
always like Rashford. I like his directness. I believe that he, like even more talented players, Sancho, Pogba's of this world, so many that we've bought for our academy in the last 11 years who've never got to the standard we expected them to. I believe the club has been the biggest issue. I think there was always a place for him in our team. He may never have been. Maybe he shouldn't have ever been the lead guy as well. Maybe he should have just been a sort of an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for Man United. If we'd have built a real squad, maybe he's part of the squad. Maybe he comes off maybe he comes on the pitch when we're leading games, and he's a great counter-attack option as an example. But I believe a well-constructed squad could have utilized a player like Marcus Rashford. There's times where I've seen us where we need someone who's going to consistently run off the shoulder to spread, to create space for others, and also to get in from behind. There's a place for him in football. There's a place for him at Manchester United. And I'm really sad to see it fall apart and end. All I will say is he ain't the reason that Man United find themselves where they are today. There's a comment here that says, unfortunately, people like Samuel Luckhurst write these stories, Terry. Yes, but only because there's idiot. But this is what the journalists have been doing now for a decade. I've been watching it. They'll wait and see what gets huge traction online. So it could be, oh, look at that. Someone's tweeted that Rashford is X, Y, and Z in a negative way. And loads of people love it. I'll write an article that says similar. Do you know why? Because then those fuckers will look for their confirmation bias and click on the article. I've noticed the mainstream media for 11 years now just copy what fans say, create articles about it. Even the mainstream media, when it comes to the content they make now, it's just money put into mimicking what we already do and say. Then what you got last night on Monday Night Football with Henry, that was amazing. Because it was listening to actual fucking insight for once from these professionals, breaking something down. It was so magical to listen to proper punditry again, rather than, right, we've got to create an agenda today or this season, and we're going to pick. You saw it with Souness. Souness had this Pogba agenda where he'd blame Pogba for things when Pogba weren't even playing. And it was like, hang on, no, you just, it's crazy to me. So we as fans have got to learn to smarten ourselves up. Let's have a look at some of these super chats here. Both Bruno and Rashford almost make as much as Salah. They probably make more than Salah when you look at what they're being paid.
I'd get rid of Bruno as well. I've said this before.
Yeah, listen, I've already said, barring 2 or 3 players at the club, I am not married to any of them staying. As long as Man United become a better team, I don't care who the casualties are, because I'm a Man United fan. I'm not a fanboy of a player. No disrespect. Whoever's brought this sort of fandom thing in where people pick players over clubs, it should be made a criminal offense in the UK to support a player over a club. It should be something you are. At the end of the day, you can get arrested for a lot of things online now. It should be considered a hate crime. If someone is a fanboy and they love Saka more than Arsenal, they love Haaland more than City, or they love Rashford more than Man United, they should get arrested for hate crimes. That for me is a hate crime against football. So it's vile. It's vile. It's a bit of a joke, people. Don't take it too seriously. Happy birthday, Terry. Enjoy. Thank you to Red Lion. I appreciate that. Happy birthday. Have a great day. Thank you, Mama Flossie. I appreciate it as well. V33 here says, LB, you really think any key players want to join City in January with 130 charges not resolved? They will want guarantees that City don't get banished from the Premier League.
If they carry on playing like this, they'll be relegated anyway, won't they, LB? So it don't matter.
I think that's a lot of nonsense, to be honest with you. I think there's stuff that you can do. You can put stuff into the contract, easy. Yeah, if you get relegated, you can leave for cut price. You know what I mean? Anything, you can do anything, man. There's no issues.
Yeah, I agree completely. I agree. Pep being done by Amorim twice in 40 days. Yeah, I did see that not only is he beaten Pep twice in 2 days, he's in 40 days. He's got more XG in 2 games against City than Arteta has got in every game they've played home and away against each other. I did see that stat, which was quite...
because Arteta don't actually try and win football matches against us, man. He just sits there, innit? And now he's trying to claim that he's won a Charity Shield twice.
Oh, man, we'll get to that, man. We'll get to that.
Shameless he is.
I'll rant about that.
Thank you, Ray, for your birthday wishes, mate. It means a lot. And thank you, George, as well, for saying happy birthday. I appreciate that greatly. Thank you. Is Garnacho the next Januzaj? Listen, I think he's done better than Januzaj. Januzaj actually was in a better position than Garnacho was because he came into the first team in the first season after it started going wrong. Coming to the team like when Garnacho did 2 years ago, sort of 9 years into the rot, is a much... Like Garnacho was introduced to a squad that all just won the Premier League a year earlier. So he has far less excuses, in my personal opinion. But we'll see. Like, again, with Garnacho, I think there's a player in there. Now, me saying there's a player in there, I'm not saying he's going to be one of Man United's greatest ever forwards. I think there's a footballer that can be very productive for Man United. I do think his feet haven't been touching the ground, though, which is not right. Was Mourinho right in the long term or just excuses? Jose was right about a lot of things, but that doesn't excuse. This is where it becomes a grown-up conversation. I loved Pogba and Martial. I didn't personally want them to go. If the manager that you're giving control to says they're a problem for X, Y, and Z reason, football fans have got to go with that decision. Ever since then, the rot has we were getting bad, but that's where player power really set in from. I don't blame Pogba and Martial. I blame the Glazers. They didn't even do anything wrong. It wasn't. They weren't orchestrating the player power. That's where people have got this wrong. They didn't sit and go, "Oh, guys, we've got the power. Let's start to ruin the managers." They just had a disagreement with the manager and got sided with. Then the dressing room knows, well, I can fall out of a manager and I'm getting backed as long as I'm on a big contract, as long as I'm good commercially. It's not the players' fault. It's the people that run the club. Just putting this out there. If Rodri doesn't come back, what if Rodri doesn't come back the same player? Wouldn't be the first player it's happened to after that injury. What's the plan B?
Well, we're going to buy another player anyway, innit? We've got to get one in January. We're probably going to get another midfielder in the summer. So, you know, this is why I've been saying we need to get like a legit quality baller. We need to get a Bruno. We need to get a Zubimendi. We need to get a quality player because this is, I've been telling my City fans this as well, saying there's no guarantee we'll come back the same. Do you know what I mean? So we can't be, you know, cheaping out. On
how old is Rodri, LB? How old is he?
He's like 28, something.
That's the only age may play a part there, but although the stem cell stuff they can do now is I listened to a Joe Rogan podcast about a year ago. Oh, mate, it's crazy. The one thing that is interesting, though, did you guys watch the AFTV show where Robbie was talking to a doctor about the ACL?
I've seen it. Yeah,
and I didn't realize this. He basically said no matter how good the medical is, no matter how much you pay, it takes a year for the tendon to become sort of rigid like a cartilage for it to work. And there's nothing that speeds that. And I always wondered, like, it always takes, like, it's just always a year. And when he explained it, I was like, that's makes a lot of sense, actually, that why it takes so long for it to repair and stuff like that. So The Dugout Football Channel. Happy birthday, Terry. Have a great day and enjoy. Thank you. By the way, if we hit 30 super chats, we're on 14 already during the show. We're going to gift out 20 memberships to you viewers. And if, by the way, you guys want to join our new membership community, you can do so by scanning the QR code on the screen. We've got another watch party tomorrow night for the Carabao Cup as well. And I know a lot of people are enjoying it over there. So scan the QR code on the screen and go and check that out. Funny thing is, you lot said about Ahmad is the same exact noise about the Belfast Bebe years ago. What?
Who's Belfast Bebe?
Who's that?
Oh, you mean Belfast? That's Rashford, because you're saying he's as bad as Beppe where he got drunk in Belfast. This is the difference, though, my friend. And it's funny, but this is what I would say.
Not as bad as Beppe, man. What are you doing here, bro?
Yeah. It's a joke. I could take the joke. I look at it from this perspective. These two gentlemen never rated Rashford. So let's talk about us three people on the show. These two gentlemen either side of me never rated Rashford. So but they praise Ahmad. So they're not saying the same thing about Rashford as they did Ahmad. So first of all, you're wrong. I rate Rashford. I rated him. I don't think he has regressed because he was a bad player. I think it's the way the club has behaved and the way the club has acted. And the reason I say that with some, and this is where I would ask this question of you. We've had better players purchased and better technicians come through the academy in the last 11 years than Rashford. Why have none of them made it either? Why has no player come to the club, got better and maintained it? Why has no academy player progressed and got better and better? Why have most of our signings come in with a really good reputation? Even Maguire, when he was signed, came in with a reputation where City bid the same amount of money we did. It was only that we offered to pay it all up front rather than in installments that we got the player. So it wasn't as though we were chasing players that nobody else wanted. Why has nobody made it at the club? That's why I find it very hard as a United fan to single out individuals when it comes to it. Some I haven't rated personally, but at the same time, I look at the wider issue. And you look at most of their... And by the way, I think Rashford will leave. He's probably going to join your fucking club, mate. So look forward to him. Look forward to him coming to Paris. Speaking of players, though, obviously a massive bit of news broke late last night, early part of this morning, that Mykhailo Mudryk has tested positive for a performance-enhancing drug. He has provisionally been banned by the FA and is facing 4 years out. There was a lot of speculation to begin with. Was it something he did in England? Was it to do with his trainer? This got shut down on my video earlier today, and I'm going to do it again now live in front of nearly 6,000 people. This has nothing directly to do with Chelsea, not according to what the reports are stating. He hasn't taken anything during his time at Chelsea. So all the reports that because from rivals here that Enzo Fernandez is now training with the same personal trainer, maybe he's done something and that's why he's improved. That was always speculation. It's bullshit and it's been disproven. This is a performance-enhancing drug that he has essentially admitted to taking whilst on international duty with the Ukraine. In the Ukraine and in Russia and other places, this particular drug is legal. That's the defense so far. As far as what I've read is that's the defense. Well, we took it in a country where it's legal, not on international duty, not whilst we were in the UK playing for a Premier League team. Sounds like a really weird defense to me. But this has come out since this morning, and it says further reports in Ukraine are claiming the substance found in Mudryk's sample was I'm going to try and pronounce it right, meldonium, a performance-enhancing drug that was banned in 2016. The players' representatives have not commented on this. So, boys, not a good look. It seems like they're kind of admitting that something was taken, but not in the UK. It was taken outside of the UK whilst on international duty, but not a great look for the player. And looks like he could be facing a big ban if the B sample comes back.
He's getting banned, bro. Like I was Googling it before I was looking at it. So Maria Sharapova, right? She got banned for 2 years for taking or having the same thing in her blood. When she got drug tested, it's the same thing, meldonium, and she got banned for 2 years. And she went to Court of Arbitration for Sport, and that got reduced to 15 months. But she was still banned, according to what I read this morning, for 15 months for the same thing. So, yeah, I think he's chalked. I think he's going to get banned. I think it'll be probably 2. It's going to be between a year and 2 years.
Yeah,
because you've got the Court of Arbitration for Sport stuff there. Like, you have to go off the precedent, and depending on how much he's gone over by, he's gonna get banned, man. So yeah, I think he's gonna get banned for about a year.
Just to read this out, so in sport, evidence indicates that this drug increases endurance, improves rehabilitation following exercise, and enhanced activation of the central nervous system.
For what I read when I was reading the Sharapova stuff is that its main stuff is recovery, because what it does is it pushes oxygen into your body more, and it pushes oxygen into your muscles, which aids recovery. So that's you can't do that. That's cheating. So yeah, he's gonna get dusted. And the thing is, what's interesting, when I was reading the thing on the Court of Arbitration for Sport, right? She actually in hers got adjudged to have been not significantly at fault. There are like different categories when you get from what I was reading, there were different categories of
because you can for instance have contaminated meat or
exactly
if for instance you're an athlete in Team GB's Olympic camp and one of the nutritionists or one of the doctors says you can take this drug and you do, you still get banned, but you can have a sentence reduced because
it's reduced. Reduced. Facts, yeah. But on hers, to get the lowest sort of penalty, you've got, it's kind of mad the way they do it. It's pretty tricky. You've got to admit that you've taken something that contains it, because otherwise you can't do it. So he's going to have to admit that he's taken some sort of drug, which includes this thing that he's been found in his piss or whatever, and he's going to get cooked. So for me, I think he's definitely going to get a ban. I think he's going to get at least a year. And yeah, it's chalks, man, isn't it? But it's not that it's going to miss too much Chelsea because he's trash anyway. But yeah, £62 million apparently was the fee that they paid, and now he's probably going to get banned. So yeah, I think he's going to get dusted, man.
Crikey, you look at like us, we were going in for him. We got Trossard instead. Oh, thank God. It's like when you like your mate marries a nutter and you think then it breaks you. Oh, lucky escape. That is basically what it is with Mudryk. Crikey. And what's mad is he's actually taking performance enhancement. This is him on performance enhancing drugs, and he's still trash. What's he actually going to be like if he doesn't take stuff? I mean, this is bad, isn't it? Let's just be real. It's been a bad signing for Chelsea. And as much as me, LB have actually got Chelsea wrong this season in terms of what they were going to actually be, and we have got to hold that because they're doing very well. We haven't got this one wrong, mate. He was a bad signing. He can't get into their team. He's playing in the Conference League and scoring goals against Noah and Serviette or whatever the hell they're called. But that's about as far as it will go with him. He's going to be a bad signing and one they'll have to chalk off and just move on from, I think. And if it comes out that this has happened and he is guilty, then yeah, as LB says, he's going to have to take a big ban. I don't think Chelsea will want that, so they'll get rid as soon as they can. I think he's on an 8-year contract with Chelsea, so he's probably going to be contacted them for a long time. So I don't know what they're going to do now. Try and mutually consent that somehow, but that's going to cost them a lot of money, isn't it? So yeah, it's going to be bad.
I wouldn't be surprised though. Chelsea's owners have been very savvy. I wouldn't sign a professional athlete to come and play for my club without a clause which enables me to essentially cancel their contract if they are caught and proven guilty of taking illegal drugs or performance enhancing drugs, because that's something that you can't control that player from doing. So I would never sign a player up. I mean, clubs have weird stuff in their contracts. Like players can have their contracts teared up if they're caught on motorbikes, caught in helicopters, even caught on private jets without permission, things that can lead to accidents and all sorts of other things. So listen, I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea have some type of clause in there. And if they do, they will, and he's found guilty, they will enact on it, because I know that there's been a number of Chelsea fans recently, big up Don, that have been kind of doing some prop that he's improving and becoming a more integral part of the team. I don't think he has been. I think he's been a colossal waste of money, and there might be an opportunity here to essentially get him out of the football club sooner rather than later. I mean, if you can get a fee for him, great. But if he gets a 2-year ban, 3-year ban, I just don't see no one's going to buy him, are they? No one's going to buy him. And by the time he comes back, he's right near the end of his contract anyway. So, yeah, you're probably better off just cancelling the contract, moving on from him, a bit of pill to swallow. You know, maybe you've got an insurance policy that means you can claim against it and get some of that money back. I don't know. But, yeah, this is, if it's true, so I know he's still innocent until proven guilty, but 9 times out of 10, when these athletes are caught, especially with a drug like this, as well. It's nearly always curtains, especially in football. I know in boxing, they seem to get away with it. They'll fight in a different country, under a different license. They'll talk about eating too many eggs or eating bad meat. But he ain't getting in my gut feeling, he's not getting away with it. And even like the Chelsea press, like reading a lot of their tweets and articles today, there seems to be like no defense. Does that make sense? It's just this is wrong. This is what he's done here. This year, just come out now, actually, says Mykhailo Mudryk is still waiting for the results of the B sample after the A test was positive. Sports law firms acting for the 23-year-old Ukrainian have repeatedly reminded us since Friday that their client has not been charged with any doping violations. I mean, but the fact they keep doing it. And did you see the statement from the player as well today? Did you see what he said? He said, "I've never knowingly taken anything that was against the rules." As soon as you hear never knowingly did it, it's like, well, what do you mean? It's yeah, I don't know. Feels like it's done. But Chelsea fans, what do you want to happen? What do you want to see happen from here? I'd love to get your thoughts, feelings, opinions on that in the comments section below. Let us know now about that. Terry, you're mid-table. Yes, we are mid-table. I know we are. But I'm not worried about it, though. We're one win away from... We can go 6th with a win at the weekend. If City beat Villa and we beat Bournemouth, theoretically, we can go 6th. Depends on our results.
City beat Villa.
Well, I mean, listen, if we win at the weekend and you lose, we'll be a point behind City. No one would have thought that about 3 months ago. Listen, I'm not worried about our league position right now. We'll focus on that later on down the contracts. Ha, who's a Chelsea fan, says terminate the contract, is what he said here. Yes, no, Mykhailo Mudryk, Arsenal Stoke attack is really good, Dan. That's what Chelsea fan says here.
No, he's not wrong. I can't even talk about our attack at the moment. It's embarrassment, absolute embarrassment. We'll come on to that.
Yeah, we certainly will. Mudryk, adios. Willian in is what maximum. Do you know what I'm noticing with Chelsea fans? None of them seem bothered. They almost seem like a little bit relieved.
Why would they be?
Yeah.
Why would they be?
Bro, this guy, man, like he's rubbish anyway. So who cares, mate? Yeah, like at the end of the day, he's taken some. It's including this drug that's banned. He's dusted. He's chalk, bro.
A really good friend of mine, Tony. When we were younger, about 21, 22, he was dating this nice enough girl from Brazil. It's about the same age as us. She was over the UK on like a student visa, and they got quite close. They've been together a couple of years. We all thought they were happy. And he started saying, "Oh, she's applying for like a visa to stay." All right. And the closer and closer it got to the decision, the more he ended up admitting, he goes, "Boy, I just don't want to be with her anymore, but I don't know how to break up with her. She scares me a little bit, right?" So she scares you. She's lovely, but I'm scared she's going to get angry. And then she came, we were at this party and she arrived and you can tell she'd been crying. I was like, Tone, like, what's up with her? He goes, "Bruv, it's the smile on his face." He went, "She didn't get her visa." So I was like, "Why are you so happy?" Well, now we'll have to split up and I don't have to be the one to do it. He was so happy. That's what Chelsea fans are reminding me of right now. It's almost, we can get rid of him, but we don't have to say it was a flop. We can say he did it to himself. Woohoo! The get out for him there. Thank you, Luke, for inviting everybody to get that like button hit. Yes, people, please get that done for us right now. Closing in on 1,000 likes, but let's get that up, please, to near the 2,000 mark. Mutu was kicked out and sued. Happy birthday, Terry. Yeah, listen, that's another thing. Maybe sue him back for the money. Maybe get some of your money back. Maybe that's the way. A UFC fighter tested positive for a stem of that drug to weight cut. Whilst it doesn't improve performance directly, it lets you train more.
That's right. It improves recovery times.
Yeah, which is there was also Kolo Toure? He got done for taking fat burning pills that you can buy in a shop because again, if you're struggling to get rid of your weight as you get older, you're not. That's why they're all performance enhancing drugs.
And I think as well, right? You know, these players are proper stupid, yeah. Because let's be honest, right? If I'm a professional sport athlete, mate, yeah. Now, I'll be real, yeah. If I'm a professional sport athlete, especially a footballer where there's big money in it, yeah. How much money is Mudryk on?
$100,000 a week-ish.
So his life's been changed by this. I guess he was probably on decent money in Ukraine, right? But now his life's like completely changed. He's getting absolute cash, right? I'm not being funny, yeah. And I might put a little pre-pause in here, but I ain't putting nothing in my mouth unless it's been checked by the club doctor. Bro, I'll be deadly serious here, mate, yeah? I'm not putting nothing. I'm not taking no Nurofen, ibuprofen, paracetamol, unless I have it written from my club doctor that I can take that, Brie. Because there's no way I'm getting sacked or getting my contract terminated because I'm taking some sort of drug, some cold and flu tablet. Yeah, there's no way I'm doing that. I'm not doing that, mate.
I think that stuff's okay, to be fair, but I hear you. Like, I know you've been a bit
but I wouldn't take it, though.
I agree. No, but listen, I agree. I agree with you. The problem is when you typically look at people that have taken performance-enhancing drugs, this is the funniest thing. It doesn't make you kick a ball faster. In football, it doesn't really help. It might hit you kick a ball a bit harder. Maybe there are certain drugs that can make a goalkeeper a bit more agile, a little bit more flexible, but it's the recovery. It's better sleep. It's taking fat off. In other sports, I think certain drugs like a steroid can make you punch harder. If it makes the muscles bigger, you could theoretically punch harder and everything else, right? But most people that do it are people that are struggling to get to the level they want to be at. So they can be world class, but they might want to be even better. Right, they might be average and they might want to get even better. Typically, people that are successful, doing well, and are comfortable with where they're at and very successful, they typically won't take something because you don't need to. You're already up there, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't feel bad for him.
No, I don't feel bad for these people, man. These people know what they're doing, bro. But you think one day you randomly just wake up, you have a piss or you get your blood taken, and we found testosterone in your higher level of testosterone, or we found a drug that makes your muscles recover quicker. Oh, how did that get there? I mean, come on, man. Come on. We know what's going on here. Yeah, some of these players, they're taking stuff, they get caught, boom. Yeah. That's just the truth, man. Like, this is what happens, mate. You always get these players that do it, mate. They're stupid, man.
I hear you. And as I say,
that's what I'm saying. If I was a football player, I won't be taking no drug, nothing, unless I had it checked out by a doctor. And I want written confirmation, because if anything went wrong, I'd say my club doctor said I could take it.
You still get banned, but it'd be a shorter ban. It's because you're still
and the club would get screwed. Because
you've still got personal sovereignty. But yes, no, I hear you. Let's say the B sample is negative. I'm looking dodgy at Clear Lake. Like they've set him up. Clear Lake put something in his meat. But I saw a video once of I don't know who he just beat. I think it was one of the second Wilder fight. And what's his name? Tyson Fury was sitting there. Somebody handed him a bottle of water like this, and he looked. He started doing this. He looked at it and he went. I remember he looked at it and it was like a casual thing he said. He went, "Can you get me one that isn't opened?" Because again, people can put things into a drink that then show up in a piss test and you get in trouble.
Like boxing and that, because like there are penalties if you get banned or you get a negative sample or whatever, then you can lose some of your purse. Do you know what I mean? You can lose some of your prize money for that. So in boxing, in UFC and all that, I wouldn't be touching nothing.
Although I've noticed in boxing, no one seems to... They call each other out, but no one really sues anyone, because the theory is, from some ex-boxers and a lot of MMA fighters, is that everybody's doing it. It's just if you get caught, you get caught. That's why there doesn't seem to be as much outrage anymore, because there was talk about... Again, I don't know the science of it because I'm not a scientist, but I've heard them break this down where it's essentially someone will take these 3 drugs and then they'll take these 2 drugs to make sure that the others are not traceable. Because there's ways of putting like cocktails together to make it work. But again, it's either way, I wouldn't be taking the risk personally and risk losing all of that money. Big week ahead for Dan Potts on Arsenal. Terrible weekend result for you. You've got to win this quarterfinal. You have to smash Palace and win, surely.
We do, mate. We do. If we dare lose this game and chuck another trophy in the bin, mate, there's going to be some problems. For the first time at the weekend, I heard fans booing. I haven't heard fans boo at the Emirates since the Wenger and Emery days, if I'm honest with you. And it's not a good look at the moment. I tried to even I've had my doubts for a long time about ownership not being serious, board not backing the summer transfer window to an elite level, and the manager be on the pitch with his tactics. But I started to kind of try to understand it at the start, because it had a real rough sort of start away from home, where we're going to Villa away and Spurs away and City away and Atlanta away and into Milan away and Newcastle away and Chelsea away. And I thought, this is a nasty few games. Maybe the change of the tactics and the Stoke FC stuff has got to come out to try and get us across the line. I didn't mind that. But when we were doing it against Leicester and against Southampton and against Bournemouth and against Newcastle as well, I was thinking, right, there's a problem here. There's a problem here. Our attack is blunt and we are relying on set pieces. We did it against Manchester United. We got across the line. We've done it in certain games this season. We're just not very good, Tel. We're just not very good. And it isn't the players, I don't think, that have all become crap overnight. When there's this amount of players that are not performing well, you've got to then start looking elsewhere out of that and say, why is that? Why are there 8 or 9 players at Arsenal that aren't quite with it this season? Why are we struggling when Saka doesn't play well? Why are we looking to Odegaard to not be injured because our creativity is a problem afterwards? Why are we saying that Saliba and Gabriel have played well every game, but not the others? So apart from the goalkeeper who's been pretty decent, Thomas Partey, I think, has been great. Saka has got the goals and assists that we need him to get. I look at the other side of the pitch and I'm thinking, right, we haven't really got a left back at the moment that's done anything. Calafiori and Marino is still waiting for them to play and make an impact. We've got Martinelli who's fallen off an absolute cliff and Trossard who's not doing much to replace him, if I'm honest with you. Kai Havertz has turned into the player that Chelsea were all laughing at. And when Odegaard doesn't have a good game, he seems to be getting hooked. Now, to be subbed 21 times as a captain when he is the most attack-minded player on the pitch is really, really poor. And when you're playing Everton at the weekend and you have to make changes, the changes he made were absolutely embarrassing. In fact, they were abysmal. The changes you make when you are 0-0 against Everton, when Calvert-Lewin's not getting a kick, when Everton aren't even trying to play football and win, you've got 49-year-old Ashley Young at right back. Martinelli can't beat him. You've got Jorginho coming on for Rice. Why not bring on Nwaneri? You've got Odegaard coming off. Why not leave him on and bring him on with the attackers? You've got Partey coming on at right back. Timber switch back over at left to shore things up. Why not just play Gabriel and Saliba? Or just play 3 at the back? What Marino, I don't know how he lasted that long, by the way. I don't know what really he does to us to take us forward.
He's trash.
Yeah, I don't seen it yet,
He's trash, bro. I'll tell you what, yeah.
I'm not seen it yet.
Arteta is I think, yeah, because I think that Marino was an Arteta sided, right? I think you've got your transfers completely, utterly wrong this summer. Right, you brought in Calafiori. Did you really need him? You brought in Marino, right? 2 squad rotational players, I'd say, yeah. We spoke about this. I can't remember when the last time we spoke about this, but we've definitely spoke about this on this channel before, right? What Arsenal needed this summer was those star boys, those star players, those diamond players, yeah, the X factor. You didn't need to bring in Marino. Marino is a Kovacic, yeah? Calafiori, do you really need this guy? And then you brought in Raheem Sterling, which was a hilarious signing, by the way, yeah? You know what's hilarious about that Raheem Sterling signing, yeah? It's because apparently Arsenal are only paying like 125 grand a week. There's a reason you only paid 125 grand a week. You didn't really want him. Otherwise, if you really, really wanted him, you'd have been knocking on the door early doors. You would have got him earlier in the summer and you would have paid the full money. Yeah, this is crazy. The transfers that Arteta has done this summer, yeah, are terrible, mate. Yeah, you should have gone out there and bought a top baller. You should have bought a striker, yeah, an Osimhen, a Gyökeres, some top striker. You should have gone and got a proper midfielder, creator, yeah. Because I've said to you this before: when Odegaard's not there, who's creating? Nwaneri. What are you talking about, Nwaneri? The guy's 17 years old. He's hardly played. Do you know what I mean? I'm seeing Arsenal fans gas this guy up after, 10 Premier League minutes? Please, relax. Yeah? The signings this summer were terrible. Terrible. Should have gone and got an Osimhen. Should have gone and got a creative midfielder. Yeah? And struck fear into City. Struck fear into Liverpool. Boy, I've seen you signing Marino. I'm like, are you signing Marino for? You don't need this. So I think this season you won't win the league. And the reason I don't think you win the league is because you've not bought the right players. You should have gone and got Osimhen, man, or a Gyökeres or someone like that. Crazy, man. Yeah, but you're buying all these players you don't need. You don't need Marino.
I'd love to try and fight back and defend my club, but I can't. Everything you're saying is spot on. Everything you're saying is what I've been saying for a long time. The minute that window closed, I was told and I was abused in my chat, calling me negative and toxic for giving the window a 4 or 5 out of 10. And everybody said it was a 7 or an 8. And the Raheem Sterling, you're going to see the best out of him, and he's going to be the one that Arteta gets the best out of. He's done it with Havertz. Now he's going to be a miracle worker with Sterling. Sterling's not had a good game since 2019. Sterling's not even coming on. Sterling's not starting. Sterling's not being a part of anything at the moment. You tell me that this club wanted Sterling, you'll absolutely give your head a wobble. They did not want Raheem Sterling. It was the only option available to him. It was either by nobody or by Raheem Sterling. I would actually rather have Reece Nelson at the club because at least he was coming on and scoring winners for the last minute against us. This guy's doing absolutely nothing. And to be fair to Raheem Sterling, I don't even blame him. He's sitting there, he's laughing, he's loving life. He's got Chelsea and Arsenal both playing for him and he's not even doing anything. I'd love his job. What a job that is. You do nothing at all for the whole season and you get 150k a week.
You'd probably play as well. You'd probably
I'd probably play better because I'd actually get on the field and try and give out my all. This guy's not doing anything. And it's not just him, by the way. We've got Kieran Tierney sitting there on 175 a week. He's not being played at all. Lewis Skelly's ahead of him now. So it is an absolute mess. And the subs I see are absolute disgrace. And let me just say that I had to calm down earlier. I did do a stream on it before here. How your manager can come out and start shaking his bum and twerking for charity shields is an absolute disgrace. Absolute disgrace in a press conference.
Whoa. Say that again.
Oh, Terry, you've not seen this?
No. I've been busy today.
Oh, go on, give him a birthday present.
So this is how shameless Arsenal.com are, by the way, because I actually looked to go for the every word Arteta press conference, every word. Well, it's not every word. That's a lie, because actually they cut it out because they were so embarrassed by his answer that on the Arsenal.com website they've actually summarized what he said by saying, "Oh, we just want to win trophies." He did not say that. The question put to him was something in the lines of, and I don't want to get this wrong because it will be wrong, but I'm not going to say this every word, but it was a question which was similar to, it's been 5 years that you've been in this club, Mykhailo. You've done a great job getting your club to title challenging, but you still only have the one trophy. He then said, and 2 charity shields. 3 that makes.
I don't believe you.
So this guy is actually twerking for community shields, which we all know is like winning the sack race at Sports Day, innit? Let's just be real. It's basically like winning a glorified soccer aid, this charity shield. No one actually cares about it.
I just watched the clip as well. Someone in the chat said he was being sarcastic. No, he wasn't being sarcastic.
I've just got the clip here. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it.
Let's play it.
Because I just don't believe you, Potsy. I just don't believe you. It's processing now.
Do you think he was sarcastic or not? I don't think he was being sarcastic one little bit. I think the guy's being serious. I think he's getting his chest out for the community shield. Play that clip.
It's coming up to 5 years now that you've been in charge of Arsenal this week. You turn them into title challengers, but it's only that one trophy in your first season. Does this competition and where you are now with the home time, the quarter-final, represent a big chance for silverware?
Well, the charity shield as well twice, no? So it's 3, yeah.
Now, is he mucking around there? You're telling me he's mucking around there? He ain't mucking around. He's being serious because he would have laughed and joked and gone, "Yeah, see, we'll count them 2. Yeah." No, man, he's being serious. He thinks those 2 are actually counting to his first 5 years at a club, which, by the way, and I said this at the weekend with Robbie, the last 5 years we were handing our manager out has been more successful than the first 5 years of this guy. That is factually correct. In the last 5 years, we got an FA Cup in the 13-14. We won another FA Cup against Aston Villa the following year. Then we got to the title race with Leicester and the League Cup final. Then we got to another FA Cup, which was against Chelsea. And then he got to a semi-final of the Europa League and he left because we come 5th. In those 5 years, we've got the final, semi-finals and 1 silverware on the other 3 and have gone into a title race. And these 5 years, we're supposed to be twerking for this manager for getting us into 2 title races, bottling one of them, failing to beat Villa and Bayern Munich in the last of the second, and then coming 8th and 8th twice. And just because he won the FA Cup with a team that Emery left him, we're supposed to be saying this is an absolutely superb process. I'm sick and tired of it, Tel. I've been calling it out for a long time. Our ownership is not serious. Go and look at the owners. Go and look at the clubs that they own in America and tell me how many times they win. They're one and done people, mate. One and done. We won the Rams have won the Super Bowl. Brilliant. Right, let's go move on. The Nuggets are one. That's the one trophy. Right, let's go. They will get one and done with Arsenal. That'll be it. We won't dominate football. No way under this ownership. Look at the state of that transfer window, by the way. I said to Robbie, I gave it a 5 or a 4. Mate, I'd like to change that now and make it a 3 or a 2. It's an absolute disgrace that is a trans. Man City didn't do anything, Dan. Liverpool only got to Gaza. I don't give a shit. I do not care about Manchester City and Liverpool. I care about Arsenal, what we do. Let them do what they think they needed to do. Because the other thing that's an embarrassment from these Arsenal fans that absolutely love off of Arteta is that Maresca's walked in there first year and Slot's walked in there first year. And at the moment, we're behind both of them. So if he finishes below both of them, how is there any way out for this manager? So as I said to you, Tel, he dare loses to you in the FA Cup at home and Palace in the Carabao Cup at home, because those two trophies are what could be the only things we could win this season, in my opinion. Because we ain't going to win the league. I don't think we're ever going to be good enough for the Champions League the way we're going, because the heritage and the embarrassment of this club, European wise, we've only got domestic cups this season, in my opinion. And if we do not get one of those over the line, I don't know how we can stay here, mate. I really don't.
Some comments here. Robert says that was sarcasm to me, is what Robert Blake says. NVR says he's literally smiling when he was talking. Same here from Shots, who said he was smiling. Riddler says he's taking the mick. He's saying he's taking the mick out of the reporters, and this community shield is technically.
How is he taking the mick out of the reporters?
This is all defense of him. I don't understand what these people are.
How on earth is he taking the mickey out of the report? So the reporter's saying you need to win something because you've only won one in 5 years. What you're saying, and then Arteta says I've won 3. I've won 2. How is that taking the mick out of him, bro?
A lot of gooners here saying he was smiling and he weren't really taking it serious. So others are saying he was being serious. So viewers, get us your comments in. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you feel in relation to that. But I think you're right, Potsy, about the Palace game. I think you need a performance. It feels like you've gone into a period again where you need another performance to kind of get the spirits up again. You know, you started well after the international break, but of course, staying in this tournament is so key. It's so key. There's reports that Liverpool might play a weakened team. There really is. And if Liverpool do that and they were to go out, I don't think they will, but if they were, then you got United or Spurs is going to go through, but neither of us are in a great position right now. There's an opportunity here for a trophy, and I think Arteta probably, you could argue Big Ange needs it, but I feel like Arteta probably needs to win the trophy more than any other member of the top 6 this season. I know that's how it feels to me. Looking from the outside in.
That's definitely legit. Yeah, I'd go with that. I think obviously Postecoglou needs to win one because he said he's going to win one. So if he doesn't win one, it's like liar. You know what I mean? Are you? Someone just said there, Dad Potts. Are you now Arteta out? What is? Yeah, can we get an exclusive here? What is the official Dan Potts status on Mykhailo Arteta?
Win me a trophy in May or go. Simple.
Any trophy? Carabao Cup?
If we challenge for the title and win a trophy, I'd take the Carabao Cup, because people laugh at that and think it's a joke, but actually it's a trophy that has history and one that I grew up winning.
Just asking. So you win the Carabao Cup
trophy, and he'll start. I'm happy.
Win the trophy. You finish third. You win the Carabao
Cup. No trophy.
No, win the Carabao Cup and third.
If we challenge for the title when we come third, then that's 4. If we're 15 points off the top, that's regression. He's got to go.
So within what? How many points? Within like 6, 7 points, something like that?
I think if we take it to the last game or last couple of games and we can still win the league, then fair enough, because it's a title race, isn't it? Okay. But if we're out of it by February, March, we win a trophy, I'm sorry, that ain't enough. And some people, LB, are saying even if he wins a double, like an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup, he's got to go.
Yeah, I think that's wild, to be honest. I think if
I think that's crazy.
If he wins the FA Cup and Carabao Cup, and you watch what him sack.
You can't, you can't moan.
Unless we're like floating around 9th.
You can't moan about Arteta not winning trophies this year, last year, that you've seen before. Win 2 domestic trophies and then say, but some people will do that. And listen, if he was to win the league this year, if he won it next year, should have done it sooner though. Some people that don't like Arteta will always move the goalpost, but I don't think any sensible Arsenal fan who's demanded trophies is going to win trophies and then go, but that isn't good enough. I don't think anyone's going to do that. But
what do you two think then? Because I can't take the emotion out of it because I'm a gooner. But
okay, so my position is, if he wins the Carabao Cup only, I'd just be disappointed because it's his 5th year. And this is why I've been saying for the last 5 years that he should have took the domestic cups more seriously. Right? Because after 5 years, really, I mean, he should be going for Champions League in your 5th year. You should be going for the Premier League in your 5th year. So if you don't win the Premier League and only win a Carabao Cup, I'm sort of like, yo, bro, this should
be the FA Cup. Same.
The FA Cup, yeah, obviously, I'd be a bit more, because our FA Cup's a bit much bigger and has a historic meaning. But for a club like Arsenal, the Premier League and the Champions League should be the bread and butter, especially now that you're 5 years into a process where you spend best part of 800 million. So, listen, for me, if he wins a trophy, I think you need to give him another year. But I think this you're going now to the part where Arsenal should be a team that are winning Prems and competing properly for Champions Leagues.
I agree.
So, yeah, I don't know, but I just feel that a Carabao Cup on its own,
Trophies are always what we should be looking at, though, man. Because I remember when we won in '93, we come 10th or 9th in '93 when our first year we won the cup double, man. No one cared where we come.
I also feel, Potsy, as well. You mentioned it, right? The fact is, if you don't win the league and Slot in his first season or Maresca in his first season wins it, then hang on a minute, because I've been being told for the last 2 years, a lot of Arsenal fans have been telling me, that the reason they don't want to sack Arteta is because Pep's about to leave, and when he leaves, you guys are going to wrap up the Prem.
Yeah.
Well, hang on a minute. Well, first of all, Pep signed a new 2-year contract. Yeah. Second of all, we're now trash. And what? Now you're not there to win it. So it's sort of like, well, what are you waiting for, man? And if you win the Carabao Cup this year and you don't win the Prem, you go into his 6th full season next year. You don't win the Prem again, and you don't win the Champions League again. Do you know what I mean? I always say this, and I mean this with the deepest of respects. Arsenal are a massive football club. You're not there to hold Arteta's hand to help him grow as a manager. I see all these comments on Twitter about how bad it is Vincent Kompany used Burnley to increase his managerial sort of like views, and that's why he's at Bayern. The same with Russell Martin, Southampton. These managers, they're using these football clubs. Well, hang on a minute. Is Arteta not using Arsenal? Because last time I checked, Arsenal was this gigantic football club with one of the biggest fan bases in the world, rich history of FA Cup success. They won 13 league titles, 14 league titles. Yeah, they got to a Champions League final. I'm not being funny. The way some Arsenal fans move, it's like you're a small club. Some Arsenal fans act like they're a small club because years into a process. You guys should be winning Prems, Champions Leagues, man. When I was a kid, growing up, and I was watching Arsenal cooking, with that team of 03, sort of 05, you got Champions League final. Amazing team, amazing mentality. And now it's like, we'll give them another year. It's like, bro, like, if that's what you want to be, listen, people can support the clubs however they want to support them, But I just feel that Arsenal need to remember that they are a big football club,
Mm-hmm.
At some point, say enough is enough. You either win me a major honour or you get gone. And whether the camera is for you, I don't know.
Listen, I've said it when I did the video, the summer of 2002, when I said Arsenal scare me. Firstly, from my perspective and point of view as a United fan in the mud, but also I said it in that video, and I said it in a number over the course of that season, that I feel Arsenal will be over the next couple of years in a win-win position. So either Arteta is going to win you the big trophies, or he's going to build you and get you to the edge, the precipice of winning them, and maybe somebody else has to come in and you go to the next level. I like with Pep. Now, please people don't think I'm comparing Arteta to Pep. I'm talking about the logic here. I'm not someone that looks at Arteta's reign as unsuccessful. He's won an FA Cup. I don't buy into this bullshit that it's not his squad. It's not his because it wasn't his squad. By that logic, Liverpool fans keep saying, we didn't buy anyone in the summer. That means if Slot wins the league, you can't give him credit. It means it's Klopp's team. So we can all play that stupid game, but that's what it is. It's stupid when you say it, when you start applying that logic across multiple examples. But I feel like he's got you to the edge now. Last season, this season should be judged on how he does in the cup competitions and how he does in the league and winning you trophies. And I know there are some gooners who are desperate for him to win a Premier League or Champions League so they can really stick it to the Arteta outers who told you were wrong. It's becoming a battle with those two ideologies. So I did a video about it.
It's about being right now.
Exactly. But but both sides do it. Both sides do it, if that makes sense. It's when Arsenal go for a bad patch, I see some of I'm talking more of the Twitter people, TikTok people, not really the content creators on YouTube. I think our content's a little bit different typically. But like, they sort of do this, I told you I was right, bruv. I saw an Arsenal fan do that about Arteta when you guys lost your first away game of 2024 in like September, and it was like, hang on, it's the wrong moment. Maybe you'll go on to be right, but both groups are doing is throwing enough mud and hoping some of it sticks. You're not really right because so much of your prediction is already wrong. Like if LB would have said on Friday, we're going to smash United 5-0. You're barely going to touch the ball. We're going to dominate you. This is going to be embarrassing for Man United. We're back. And they scraped a dodgy 1-0 victory. LB's prediction isn't right just because the outcome was what he said it would be. The overarching thoughts he had about the game were wrong. Someone who predicted a close 1-1 was closer to being accurate than somebody that threw out what LB did. And that's what too many polarized people have done. So I think Arsenal fans have to look at this as, I'm an Arsenal fan and what's best for the club. If your view is you don't think there's a better manager out there, fair enough. That's your opinion. You know, we had one caller at the end of last season I had so much respect for. I think his name was Connor, who just said, I respect the fact that if we change Arteta, we could go backwards, but I'm prepared to take the risk. And I think that at some point this season, maybe next year, Arsenal fans have got to look at this if you're not winning trophies, because I think your squad is good enough to. Yes, the left-hand side of your attack needs improvements. Martinelli hasn't got back to the level that he was at a couple of years ago. I think everybody has seen that. But overall, I think you've got a good enough squad. Overall, I think you've got a good enough team, personally. But you need to go out there and start winning trophies. And it as you say, it becomes a battle of ideology as opposed to what do we think from this point is right for Arsenal, you know?
Yeah, I agree what you just said there about that call. I think that is a major issue. I think too many Arsenal fans are scared about the potential risk of going backwards under a new manager, right? Rather than focused on the potential rewards of going forward with a new manager. Yeah, because they were the banter club of this country for so long. They don't want to go back to that era. But what I keep on saying to them is, you're no longer a banter club no more. Like, you've got a mint team. Your team is good. Yes, it needs work. Yes, you need a couple more players. 100%. Every club does. You think Liverpool top of the league? I speak to a Liverpool fan and said, yeah, that squad's fine. You think when we won the treble, I didn't look at my team and go, we need to improve that area, that area. You think when United won the Champions League in 08, Terry wasn't sitting there going, we could improve this, and this. Every team, no matter how good you are, can always improve.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you sack Arteta, the worst that you're going to do is finish 5th, 4th. Because that team is top 4. But the potential rewards is you could win the league, man.
Where I will defend those people is when, and maybe the run they've been in the last few weeks is different. And sometimes you get a bit jaded. So Arsenal could win their next 15 games on the bounce and then draw one they probably shouldn't. And someone will go, told you 15 weeks ago we should have sacked the manager. And I think it becomes a bit jarring for people because not every game, not every setback should trigger a conversation about the manager being sacked or not. And
I agree with that.
And
that's why I said May. That's why I said May. Give me something in May.
And I agree. And I think that's why it becomes a very hard conversation as well, because I do, you know, our biggest shows of the week are our match reactions. And sometimes I get frustrated, not just on Arsenal ones. We'll go, okay, break down the game. Oh, what'd you make of the goal? What'd you make of the chance? What'd you make of that red card? And someone goes, yeah, really good goal. I want to speak about the future of the manager. It's like, bro, you're not here for that. It's a fucking match reaction show. We're here to talk about the game. That's what we do on Top 6 shows. That is what we do on Straight Fact shows. This is review the game. And I think sometimes, and this isn't about defending Arteta, this is talking about people in general. Sometimes I want to just focus on an individual game and what went right and what went wrong. If you go out of a cup competition, if you suddenly, oh my God, that's led to 15 points off the top. I understand why deeper conversations happen, but I think a lot of people are tired. That's why I said a few months ago, I think the Arteta in and out debate, from what it was in its inception, is dead. It's been so done to death, it's over. And you're probably right, Potsy. Give it a little bit of time. Sort of put it on the back burner maybe until the end of the season and have it as an example. Or a terrible run like Arsenal or like City are in right now. I do understand why people are tired of it, but my views are very simple. And that's why I think this Thursday, in some respects, is a more significant game than the one you just had. Because if you go out of this cup competition, the pressure heightens elsewhere. I think he's got to win trophies this year. Otherwise, it becomes a very, very difficult position for either him to maintain or for Arsenal Football Club to defend. You know, because I remember saying this to a few gooners when you were getting good a couple of years ago. Don't take your foot off the owner's neck. Don't let them think everything's okay now. Because you guys were protesting and you were making a lot of noise. And like most of our football clubs, as soon as you start winning games, everything quietens down. And I feel like until you're winning those major trophies and you're winning them, but you're still reinvesting into your team, I don't think you should ever let your foot off their neck. And maybe City fans the last couple of years have been a little bit blasé about it. We're going to be okay. We always get it right. And maybe you've taken your eyes off the ball.
Yeah, 100%.
You know?
100%. This isn't just an Arsenal thing, man. You know what I mean? Like, bro, my club has definitely took our finger off the gas and we've become complacent and some City fans, and maybe even myself, become complacent, yeah? But the difference is, I expect my team in January to go big and rectify this situation as much as they can and then sort it out in January by signing the players. Do you know what I mean? And listen, I just feel that with Arsenal, yeah, I just feel that we're in this never-ending next year. Now, I couldn't care less what happens to Arsenal. I'm not an Arsenal fan, yeah? I just find it very...
Nor am I.
I just find it very weird how it's constantly, you're meant to be this big club. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, bro, I just don't get it.
The problem you've got, LB, is every time you say, do you think the manager should, who do we go and get? Who do we go and get? There's no one out there.
Slot has proved that absolutely.
Slot's proved that's crap. Amorim has proved that's crap as well. Because you can go and get Xabi Alonso.
Yeah, I've got a lot of time and love for Robbie. And I'm not talking behind his back because it's public and I'd say it to his face. It's meant with respect. What he said at the weekend about what we're going to do, go and get Sean Dyche, I just feel like that kind of conversation, equally, that's every bit. That's every.
You know what? Because it validates the conversation. If you sit there, yeah. So the people that say, right, big up El Capitan, yeah, you've not won a Premier League in 20 years, you club shit, right? So here's the thing, right? if you have a conversation,
21.
My bad. If you have a conversation and speak about potential managers that could come in and help improve the team, yeah, that validates this conversation. But people like El Capitan, yeah, and all these people who say, oh, but who can we get? There's no one out there. It's because they don't want to have the conversation. They don't want to admit to themselves that there are better managers out there. And this is what I'm saying to you about the fact, yeah, that Arsenal are not here to hold Arteta's hand.
Why don't we then, when we say, do you want another, Martinelli's not being here, should we get another left winger? Who are we going to get? There's no one out there. Who are we going to get?
Yeah,
what about a striker? Yeah, we're not going to get. We've got Havertz. Who's you going to get? There's no one out there. No one out there to get. A load of waffle. It's absolute crap. Slot and Maresca and Amorim have proved you can go and get them. And you know what? Man United said, you know what we'll do? We won't even go and get one that's available. We'll go and get the one that's at Sporting Lisbon that's killing it. We'll go and get him. We could go and do that with Xabi Alonso by Leverkusen. Oh, but look what he's doing now. It's a load of rubbish. Blah, blah, blah.
We just smashed up City. Best team in the world. We just smashed them up. So... That's obviously a joke, people. Arteta would have already won the Prem if not for corruption. Look, that's yet to be proven. That's yet to be proven. If it's proven, then we have that conversation, brother. Is Kai Havertz? Sorry, this is Kai Havertz. His yearly purple patch is over, Dan.
Well, I've never been a massive fan of Kai Havertz. You had to take your hat off to him at the back end of last season, but I didn't like the way he started. I don't like the way he started this season. I don't think he is the number 9 striker. I think he is a sub, and I think when he came on the other night against Monaco and changed the game in 20-25 minutes and got an assist and a goal, I was quite happy with his performance. That's what I want to see more of. The problem we've got is we haven't got a number 9 that's good enough to play ahead of him, so he is now it, and that is a huge problem. We've got both of our front line, by the way. We pay 1.2 million a week for our front line. Disgraceful. Absolute joke, mate. They are an absolute embarrassment at the moment. That's what it is. And I'm not in all of them individually. They've got to hold L's. But you look at the way that we're playing and the style. Arteta, it's no free-flowing play. It's no open play stuff. Yeah. It's no nice football. We have little glimpses of it.
I think your style of football is a big component, like you say. Ray here says, I think United won the second half. We should have had a pen. Agreed. That was definitely a foul on Rasmus, and Bruno missed a sitter. To me, I think City did less the whole game than United. I think we will probably agree to that. If Mutu was sacked for nose candy, Mudryk should suffer the same fate. We don't tolerate dopers at Chelsea. Great. Fair play to you for being honest, bro. Can we ask LB why no City fan is calling out Pep for not having an alternative idea and how Haaland does not offer anything if the midfield, anything to something like Kane, as Nobbins failed to understand yesterday when Have Hope called him out. So, yeah, that's to you, LB.
So, quickly to answer, people are calling out Pep. Not having an alternative idea. He did have an alternative idea. He had an alternative idea against Man United. And we almost won the game up until the 88th minute before Matheus Nunes decided to bozo it. So that's not true. And the team should be built around Haaland. Haaland's not a Kane. He'll never be a Kane. If you wanted Kane, should have bought Kane. Haaland is an elite level goal scorer, but he's never going to link the play like Kane. So there's no point in even trying. We need to build the team around Haaland with wingers that can create chances and midfielders that can create chances. We have midfielders that don't create him chances and wingers that don't create him chances, which is why I don't do anything.
Yeah. I just want the team to play some proper football. That's from Kenny, who's an Arsenal fan. Robert here says Moreno is actually good. We needed to get Nico or Rafinha. Trossard and Martinelli aren't good enough. Keep Vieira. Get a Cam left winger in January. Come on, you gooners. Thank you, Robert. Look at the states of you both crying about your clubs after talking shit about Chelsea every Tuesday for the past 4 months. Can't be serious, is what Ronin says here.
Ron, I tell you what, yeah, I've never met a fan base that gets triggered as much as Chelsea fans, right? Me and Potsy have already held the L on Chelsea. Yeah, we accepted we got it wrong. Yeah, we held our hands up in it, Potsy. We said, sorry, boys, we thought you was going to be trash. Turns out you're actually pretty good. Let us breathe, man.
Happy birthday, Terry. Thank you.
They're still not back just yet, though. I mean, the back for Chelsea is when they do what they did under Jose for me. But if they think they're back and they're happy with where they are, let them be happy, man. Let them be happy.
Maverick here says, happy birthday, Terry. Was great to see you crying with joy Sunday. I didn't think I would. And then I started talking. I got all emotional. I was like, oh, it was amazing. I loved it. Do you know, it wasn't really for beating City. It was Ahmad, the way he worked. When I moved to Manchester in the early 2000s, I used to drink in this pub near Stockport, and there's a lad called Baz, who's a lot older than me. He's in his 50s then, and his friend as well. I want to say his name was Jav something. I can't quite remember now. I haven't seen him for years, but I used to speak to Baz a lot, and his mate was with him, and he had another friend as well. A funny name. His name is Chris Eubank, not the Chris Eubank, but he was called Chris Eubank. And I knew about Man United, but they used to talk to me about what it was to be a Man United player. And they used to just talk so much about you run through brick walls, you never give up, you keep trying. And it just was kind of instilled upon me. And I was kind of indoctrinated to believe that by these old heads. And like Baz, his granddad helped build the original stadium and stuff. Like, it was so intertwined with the club. So I just listened to these old heads and fell further in love with Man United living up there. And I just haven't seen it properly for 11 years. And what I loved about Ahmad's performance on Sunday is he kept on going and going. When he made a mistake, he kept on going. When it didn't come off, he kept on going. And he persevered, and it got him the result. And that's just, I believe, and I know every other club might have this, but that's for you and your club. When I think about my club, my team, what Ahmad did is part of the embodiment of Man United. And it just made me feel very emotional. So, yeah, thank you for the super chat, bro. There's a reason for it. It isn't just we scored a goal and I got emotional. LB, Arsenal is fixing the problem by getting a new footballing director to fix the lack of transfer decisions. Keep fraud Teta for another year. Get a Cam or right winger.
Yeah. Well, listen, I don't know. Pretty called him fraud Teta. So is he an Arsenal fan? What's he saying?
I'm trying to work out.
He's normally quite positive about him there.
I think he's using fraud Teta as a laugh. I think he's sarcastic.
Chelsea's suddenly playing amazing lineups with the news. Yeah, listen, this is what's Mudryk took what he took, allegedly away on international duty, not whilst with Chelsea. If he lost the FA Cup, it's Emery's team, Dan. If he lost the FA Cup, would it be Emery's team?
Well, of course it was Emery's team. It doesn't matter if he won it or lost it, it was Emery's team. And I saw El Capitan saying you'd like to meet me face-to-face, give my head a wobble. I'll tell you what, come meet me face-to-face at the Emirates. I'll take you around the Arsenal History Museum. We should remember when we were good and when we actually fantastic, winning loads of trophies. Maybe you might learn something. Because when I was growing up, we were spoilt with success, mate.
Yeah.
And if you think that Mykhailo Arteta is successful, then give your head a wobble, bro.
He can show you the golden Prem, the Prems, the league, the titles, all the 14 FA Cups, the Champions League. No.
Champions League final, Champions League final. Don't get medal for that.
Champions League final.
Please, in your trophy cabinet, you don't have the flag, the two captains swap at the beginning. That's not up in your trophy cabinet, is it?
No.
I'll tell you what, the best thing about me winning that Champions League, is the fact that I can just roast Arsenal now with like United fans, Liverpool fans, Chelsea fans, Forest fans, Villa fans. I can just join in the roast. See, before we won it, I was part of this cooking as well. I used to get this cooking. You never won a Champions League. Now I've won it. I'm like, this is pretty funny, actually.
And
if you can win it, then make sure you win it without an asterisk next to it, like LB. All right, that's all I will say.
We won it. We were the first English side to ever win it. So from my point of view, like original. I mean, what is it? I saw a sticker the other day. Like, nobody remembers the second man to walk on the moon. So we won the first proper Champions League. So real heritage there. Forget City. Arsenal have had
controversial decisions.
Controversial. Sorry, my brain went. Controversial decisions that no other team gets every year. Lines not drawn. Ball wasn't over the line. Not enough contact on a push. Not targeted, but changed the course for us.
Excuses, FC, innit? Excuses, bruh.
Thanks for the super chat, bro.
Get your quality up, innit? This is what I'm saying. Moaning about the referees all the time. Yeah? What's going on here, man?
I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. Obviously, we gifted out our memberships. We hit our target of super chats as well. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to everyone who's tuned into the show today. It means a great, great deal to us. We're back tomorrow with more content, including Straight Facts with Hussam and Mo at 3:30 and the match reactions. If you want to come and watch our watch party with us tomorrow for the Carabao Cup games, scan the QR code on the screen now. Go and check out our new members sort of forum that we've created. It's really, really good. I know everyone over there is already enjoying it. Go check it out now. Oh, sorry, a super chat here from Andrew right at the end says Garnacho won the Puskas Award for the overhead kick, and he deserves it. It was a great goal.
That was goal. I did a watch along for that, and I was like not celebrating, but I was like, it was sick.
That goal was mad. It was mad. This video is going to redirect you to Judge Mo's channel, people. Oh, I've had another super chat come through before you go and do that, guys. Sorry, it's not come up on StreamYard yet though. Come through. You know when StreamYard's behind YouTube, there it is. It says you was top of the league and 12 points ahead during all of that. No, is what Chelsea fan Nab says to the Arsenal fan.
Oh mate, yeah, I've already said we've bottled the league, man. We bottled the league more than anyone. So I'm happy to admit that.
Listen, people, I'm off. I'm going out for a bit of dinner now for my birthday. Take care.
Enjoy it,
Goodbye.
mate. Enjoy
God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.